Okay, I'm just going to go through how to load your film into your Bolex for filming. So before you start, there are a few materials that you should make sure you have. Obviously the Bolex, but a blower, pair of scissors, pen and some tape to label your film. So if you haven't already labelled your film, now is a good time to do it, because sometimes I guess once you load the camera you're just kind of ready to go and you kind of forget about it. So you would just put a bit of tape on there and just write what film you have. In this instance I've got some print stock, but let's just say you've got your sorry, this is a habit, the Kodak code, but you can, for instance, write, you've got Kodak 500T, and you can say how much film is in there, 100 feet, and maybe your year and the months, which I tend to do. So I will take that label and put it here, which is the camera you're going to load. Before you start, it's a good idea to check that the motor's on. This is at stop, and that you have a little bit of wind on your camera so that you can run the motor to load your film, and that you're not running the motor at more than 24 frames a second. So just turn it over, open it up, take your film out. You'd be loading this either in the dark or in subdued light. And what you should have inside is a take-up spool, so that should be here, and you would be loading your film onto this top section here. So you can push this little lever which releases both spools, put it aside, give your camera a bit of a clean, the blower. It's worth removing the pressure plate here and cleaning between the aperture plate and the pressure plate, because dust and grime tends to collect in there. So to do that, you lift this little notch up and pull it down, and you can see the pressure plate there, and then turn this anti-clockwise. Turn the screw anti-clockwise, and you'll kind of feel it hit a certain point, and you can just lift it up and take it out. When you're lifting it up, just be gentle with it and make sure you don't scratch along here, because it's very important that you don't get any scratches along here, because that's going to scratch your film. So just make sure that there's nothing on it. If there's any grime collected, just get a soft cloth and just wipe it down. So you can put this aside, have a look at your aperture plate with a torch, and just check that there's no dust. If there's dust, just use a blower and just make sure that area is clear. It is worth taking this pressure plate out and checking it before you film, because there have been instances where I've found you know, a bit of film stuck in there from a previous user, film maker. So just tuck that back into there, turn the screw clockwise, and just gently push this down, and you can see that this is close to the aperture plate, so it's locked in place. There's a little spring there that controls the tension. So you can leave your take-up spool out, have your camera film ready to load. Pop your film into the top here. Make sure that the square of the spool fits neatly into the shaft square. Here you can you need to splice the film. You can use this cutter here, but you know, these are old cameras and the blades aren't as sharp, of course, over time, so that's why you have your scissors, and you can just cut it here at an angle between the perfs and not at the perfs. The angle just allows the film to feed into this mechanism a little bit more easily. So now you close these loop formers either by using your fingers on both ends and closing it like this, or if it doesn't quite lock, you can pull this little latch here. I think on the other Bolex models it might be a little bit different, but essentially there's a latch or a button that would allow you to lock that in place. When I load, I tend to pull this out. You can gently pull this lever and then sit your film so that it's sitting on the sprocket. The perfs sit into the sprockets. Make sure it's not sticking out. It has to. The whole film has to sit under, so you can kind of feel it lock into place. So now that's locked into place. You then start the camera, and then it should just run through. And you should give yourself maybe about a foot of film. Grab your take-up spool. Make sure that your film is following, the film path is following those arrows. So you're going to be just getting this film so it's following this direction, not in the other direction. And then just pop in there. Make sure that the film is taut. Run a little bit of film through. That's going okay, and then you can press that and just check that the film, these loops, aren't scratching these loop formers, because otherwise you're going to have scratches on your film. So it's running okay. So now you can put the lid back on your Bolex. Your film is labelled and you're ready to go.